Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is Saira Mujtaba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. President of India Draupadi Murmu arrives in Belgrade on a 3-day state visit to Serbia, interacts with Indian diaspora. Bangladesh signs 2 financing agreements worth $858 million with World Bank to enhance climate-resilient agricultural growth, food security and improved road safety. Pakistan government registers fresh case against former Prime Minister Imran Khan and wife in Oshikana case. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen meets South Korean counterpart Park Jin, discusses nuclear threat posed by Iran, North Korea. British PM Rishi Sunak to meet US President Joe Biden on Thursday, Ukraine, economy and AI tops meeting agenda. At least 7 missing in Russia-controlled Nova Kakhovka after dam collapse, United Nations warns of grave and far-reaching consequences. India shores protesting wrestlers, probe against outgoing WFI President Brij Bhushan to be completed by 15th June. And in French Open tennis, Brazil's Beatriz Haddad Maia and Iga Świątek of Poland enter women's singles semi-finals. President Draupadi Murmu said that India is on the way to becoming the 3rd largest economy of the world before the end of this decade. President Murmu was addressing the Indian diaspora and Serbian Friends of India community at a reception in Belgrade, the capital city of Serbia. The president is on a 3-day state visit to Serbia. The president also said that new infrastructure is coming up all over the country at a breathtaking pace and India is planning to be a developed state by 2047.
भारत तेजी से एक अभूतपूर्व बदलाव और ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के दौर से गुजर
India is undergoing a rapid and unprecedented transformation. India is the fastest growing major economy in the world with a GDP approaching $3.5 trillion. We are on the way to becoming the world's 3rd biggest economy before the end of this decade. New infrastructure is coming up all over the country at a breathtaking pace. India is confidently pursuing its ambition to be a developed country by 2047, the centenary of our independence. Our subcontinent is undergoing a massive developmental, infrastructural, digital, green energy and societal transition like never before.
ग्रीन एनर्जी और सामाजिक परिवर्तन के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं.
Talking about women empowerment, President Murmu said, early indications suggest that our gender ratio is now shifting towards the favorable.
इस परिवर्तन का एक सुखद पहलू जो मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब है.
One of the positive aspects of this change and one that is close to my heart is in the area of gender equality and women empowerment. Early indications suggest that finally our gender ratio is in favor of women. I would also like to share that in this year's prestigious civil services exam taken by hundreds of thousands of students, the top 4 ranks were all claimed by girls. Your India, my India is changing progressively.
आपका भारत, हमारा भारत निरंतर बदल रहा है.
Before the start of the community reception, a minute of silence was observed to remember those who lost their lives in the tragic accident at Balasore in Orissa. As President Murmu arrived in Serbia, she was received by the President of Serbia, Alexander Vučić, at the Nikola Tesla Airport today. Thereafter, President Murmu paid floral tributes to the bust of Mahatma Gandhi at Gandhi Eva Street. On Thursday, the President will lay a wreath at the monument of the unknown hero at Mount Avala. A special feature of the visit is a business engagement where a 20-member business delegation is arriving separately from India to Serbia. The focus of the ongoing visit is to encourage the business communities of both the countries to explore possibilities and prospects of business opportunities. India's Minister of Steel Jyotiraditya Scindia has said that the country's steel industry has achieved remarkable growth in the last 9 years and has now become the second largest producer of crude steel in the world, surpassing Japan in 2018. Addressing media in New Delhi, Mr. Scindia said that the country, which was known as net importers of steel till 2013-14, has now emerged as the net exporter of steel on the basis of steel production. He said the country's steel production capacity has also gone up from 109 million tons in 2013-14 to 160 million tons at present. He said the government has set a target to increase steel production capacity from 160 million tons to 300 million tons by 2030. India has assured the protesting wrestlers that probe on charges against outgoing Wrestling Federation of India President Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh will be completed by 15th of June and charge sheet will be filed. Briefing media in Delhi after a 6-hour-long discussion with wrestlers, Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur on Wednesday informed WFI elections will be held by the 30th of June. He said WFI will have an internal complaints committee headed by a woman. He said the meeting was held in a positive atmosphere and all decisions were taken unanimously. The minister added that all FIRs against the wrestlers will be taken back and the wrestlers have agreed that they will not hold any protest before the 15th of June. The wrestlers have been protesting in the national capital for over a month now, demanding the arrest of Wrestling Federation of India chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, alleging him of sexual harassment and misconduct. A 2-day summit of G20 Labour Engagement Group will be held in Patna on the 22nd and 23rd of June. Around 250 delegates of G20 member countries and guest countries will participate in the summit. Bihar State Art, Culture and Youth Department has been made a nodal agency regarding organizing the event. Talking to Akashvani News, Secretary of Art, Culture and Youth Department, Bandana Priyashi, said, besides other issues, the delegates would discuss women empowerment and technology. She said Bihar would showcase its exemplary steps of women empowerment like self-help group Jivika and other things to the representatives of different countries. Bangladesh and World Bank on Wednesday signed 2 financing agreements totaling $858 million to enhance climate-resilient agricultural growth, food security and improved road safety. The agreement was signed by Secretary, Economic Relations Division, Government of Bangladesh, Sharifa Khan, and World Bank Country Director for Bangladesh and Bhutan, Adurai Sheikh, on behalf of Bangladesh and the World Bank, respectively, in Dhaka. The $500 million program on agricultural and rural transformation for nutrition, entrepreneurship and resilience, or PARTNER, will help transform the agriculture sector by promoting crop diversification, food safety and climate resilience across agri-food systems of Bangladesh, said a World Bank release. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has called for boosting cooperation between the armed forces of Bangladesh and India. She said this when Army Chief General Manoj Pandey paid a courtesy call on her at her office at the Bangladesh Parliament, Jyotiya Sangsad. Prime Minister's speechwriter M. Nazrul Islam briefed the media after the meeting between Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and India's Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey. Referring to the setting up of the Bangladesh Institute of Peace Support Operation Training, Prime Minister Hasina said the two countries could use the opportunity to have exchange of activities for mutual welfare. She recalled with gratitude the support provided by the Indian government, Army and its people during the 1971 Liberation War of Bangladesh. Army Chief Manoj Pandey said that cooperation and collaboration between the armies of the two countries was progressing well. He said there was a potential to further strengthen the cooperation between the two countries in technical and other fields. The Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, was on a 2-day official visit to Bangladesh on 5th and 6th June on the invitation of his counterpart, General S.M. Shafiuddin Ahmad. The Pakistan government has registered a new FIR against former Prime Minister and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party chief Imran Khan in the Toshakhana case. However, he was granted bail in the case by the Lahore High Court. The Pakistan government registered a case of fraud and forgery against Khan, his wife Bushra Bibi, and their close aides, accusing them of preparing and submitting fake and forged receipts related to Toshakhana gifts. Toshakhana is a department under the Pakistan government and stores precious gifts given to the head of the country, parliamentarians, bureaucrats and officials by heads of other governments and foreign dignitaries. Imran Khan and his associates are accused of submitting forged receipts of Toshakhana gifts, including the rare Graf wristwatch gifted by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the former Premier. The new FIR has been registered after Islamabad's leading watch dealer Mohammad Shafiq said in a written affidavit that he had not sold the Rolex watch and that the PTI leaders had faked his shop's name and forged receipts for their political purpose in the Toshakhana scandal. Imran Khan is facing over 100 cases in Pakistan, including the Toshakhana case and Al-Khadir Trust case. The High Commission of India in Sri Lanka organized the India-Sri Lanka Defence Seminar cum Exhibition at the Taj Samudra Hotel in Colombo. The event, held with the objective of fostering a stable and peaceful Indian Ocean region, aligned perfectly with India's vision of security and growth for all in the region, or SAGAR. Sri Lanka State Minister for Defence, Pramita Bandara Tennakoon, inaugurated the exhibition, marking a significant moment for bilateral cooperation between the two nations. The primary focus of the seminar was to identify potential areas of cooperation for economic revival while simultaneously bolstering the capacity-building efforts of the Sri Lankan armed forces. The event attracted a diverse range of attendees, including government officials, defense industry experts, and military personnel. One of the highlights of the seminar was a comprehensive exhibition showcasing the cutting-edge capabilities and capacities in defense equipment manufacturing. The exhibition provided an invaluable opportunity for all stakeholders to gain first-hand experience with various state-of-the-art defense equipment on display. A report.
The India-Sri Lanka Defense Seminar and Exhibition was a landmark event fostering greater cooperation and collaboration between the two nations, ultimately contributing to regional peace and stability in the Indian Ocean. With Sri Lankan Armed Forces utilizing Indian defense equipment such as the Indra radar, advanced offshore patrol vessels, L-70 guns, Dornier aircraft and army training simulators, the event gives a shot in the arm for indigenous defense manufacturing. The seminar served as a platform for interaction and exchange of ideas among the stakeholders. For World News, Ahmed Moin Faruqi from Colombo.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring your commentary, U.S. Defense Secretary's visit to India.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin visited India this week. It was Secretary Austin's second visit to India since his trip in March 2021. The visit came ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's official state visit to the White House later this month, during which the two sides are expected to unveil several initiatives to expand the India-US Global Strategic Partnership and announce joint defense initiatives. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh held a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Mr. Lloyd Austin. The two sides discussed a substantial range of bilateral defense cooperation issues, with particular focus on identifying ways to strengthen industrial cooperation. The two ministers explored ways of building resilient supply chains. Both sides will identify opportunities for the co-development of new technologies and co-production of existing and new systems, and facilitate increased collaboration between defense startup ecosystems of the two countries. Towards these objectives, they concluded a roadmap for U.S.-India defense industrial cooperation, which shall guide the policy direction for the next few years. Both sides reviewed the robust and multifaceted bilateral defense cooperation activities and agreed to maintain the momentum of engagement. Defense cooperation has been a critical element of the Indo-US Global Strategic Partnership. Over the last 2 decades, the US has become a significant supplier of defense equipment to India. Washington, D.C. has become India's largest military exercise partner, taken steps to improve interoperability and coordination, and signed technical agreements to further expand India's access to high-end American defense technology. One such project that has been discussed during the recent visit was India's search for a partner for manufacturing jet engines in the country under the framework of technology transfer to power its fighter aircraft. India and the US are also looking at joint production of infantry combat vehicles, howitzers, etc. The US is keen to not only build such defense industry collaborations, but would like India to buy US manufactured drones and other equipment to meet New Delhi's defense requirements. In June 2016, the US designated India a major defense partner, paving the way for sharing of critical military equipment and technology. During the visit of Secretary Austin, the two sides also explored avenues to accelerate defense collaborations and innovation in emerging military technologies such as cyber, space, and artificial intelligence with India as part of the US-India Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology, ICET, which was launched in May 2022 to drive co-development and co-production of major defense platforms. Washington, D.C. has been looking at India as a major defense partner and a top market for the export of its military hardware. This was evident in its strong presence at the Aero India show in Bengaluru in February 2023. Leading U.S. defense companies attended the meet, which also saw aerial demonstrations and static displays of the latest aircraft from the U.S. The two nations are also exploring ways to strengthen and build resilient supply chains and to identify opportunities for increased collaboration between defense startup ecosystems of the two countries. The militaries of the two nations are bolstering their military interoperability capabilities through a range of bilateral as well as multilateral combat exercises, which include the next Malabar exercise to be held among the Quad nations in Australia later in the year. India and the US are also in talks to hold a conclave of military chiefs from the Pacific Island nations, which straddle important sea lanes of communication in the Indo-Pacific. China's growing presence in the island nations has been a cause of concern for both India and the US. Beyond bilateral defense cooperation, India and the US are also partners in the Quad. A major focus of Secretary Austin's visit was to strengthen the India-US defense partnership and advance their shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Washington, D.C. is stressing on deepening interoperability and coordination between the partner nations and bringing greater transparency to the region through leveraging cutting-edge commercial satellite technology to provide Indo-Pacific partners with near real-time data and analysis of maritime activities in their territorial waters. Defense ties are playing an increasingly high role in the India-US relationship over the past 2 decades. India's procurement of U.S. defense equipment ensures that the India-US defense relationship is important for both commercial and strategic reasons. Secretary Austin's visit adds momentum to the relationship, which is deepening as we share common interests.
That was a hotspot section, and now in some more news. Afghanistan's National Environmental Protection Agency has urged international organizations to resume work on 32 small and large environmental projects in the country. The agency's director, Hafiz Aziz Rahman, said that the international community should not politicize environmental issues and resume the suspended works. Various projects in the field of an environmental improvement costing nearly $824 million have been lying unattended in Afghanistan. The National Environmental Protection Agency observed that several concerns, including deforestation, drought, flooding, and climate change, have contributed to environmental problems in the country. The Environmental Protection Agency of Afghanistan also called on the people and companies to fight against plastic pollution and reduce their production and use. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. Welcome back. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen discussed security challenges, including nuclear threats, with his South Korean counterpart Park Jin. The two leaders also discussed measures to address North Korean and Iranian threats. Cohen began his diplomatic visit to the South Korean capital, Seoul, on Wednesday. The two envoys shared common interests of South Korea and Israel, particularly in the fight against a nuclear North Korea and Iran that is trying to make weapons of mass destruction. According to an official statement, they also discussed measures to address the threats to Seoul, Jerusalem and the free world. Cohen warned that the world must learn from the bad experience with North Korea and stop Iran's nuclear program now. He said that Israel will not allow Iran to become a second North Korea. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will be holding a key bilateral meeting with US President Joe Biden on Thursday. Sunak, who began his two-day trip to Washington with a message that post-Brexit Britain remains an essential American ally, is likely to discuss issues including Ukraine, economic and defense cooperation. US and Britain are the two biggest military donors to Ukraine. The recent dam collapse in Russia-controlled region in southern Ukraine has added urgency to the meeting between the two leaders. Apart from Ukraine, Sunak will push for closer economic ties between the US and UK during the meeting with Biden. Russia's TASS news agency has said that at least 7 people are missing after waters from the destroyed Novakakhovka Dam flooded nearby areas. The development was confirmed by Vladimir Leontiev, mayor of the city of Novakakhovka. While around 42,000 people were at risk from flooding, the United Nations aid chief has warned of grave and far-reaching consequences. Over 2,000 people have been evacuated from Novakakhovka and Kherson region. Over 2,000 houses have been flooded. President Zelensky said 80 towns and villages may be flooded after the destruction of the dam. Ukraine and Russia have blamed each other for the dam collapse. There are concerns about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. That's the Europe's largest plant, which uses reservoir water for cooling. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the situation there is said to be under control and there is no immediate nuclear safety risk for the plant. On to sports now. In French Open women's singles quarterfinals, Iga Swiatek of Poland defeated American Coco Gauff 6-4, 6-2 to enter the semi-finals. Earlier, in another quarter-final match, Brazilian Beatriz Haddad Maia defeated Jabeur of Tunisia 3-6, 7-6, 5-6-1 to enter the semi-finals. Swiatek will now face Maia in the semi-final on Thursday, while Czech tennis star Karolina Muchova will take on Belarusian Arina Sabalenka in another semi-final clash. In the men's singles, the quarter-final match between Holger Rune of Denmark and Casper Ruud of Norway will take place later tonight. In the mixed doubles semi-finals, Japanese tennis player Miyu Kato and German tennis player Tim Putz defeated Dutch tennis star Matwee Middelkoop and Indonesian Aldila Sutijiadi 7-5, 6-0 to enter the finals. In the finals on Thursday, Kato and Putz will take on Canadian Bianca Vanessa Andreescu and New Zealand Michael Venus, who entered the final after defeating Canadian Gabriela Dabrowski and American Nathaniel Lamont 7-6, 7-6 in the semi-finals. In the women's doubles quarter-final match, Taiwanese Xia Su Wei and Wang Xiyu of China overcame Russians Lyudmila Dmitrievna Samsonova and Veronika Eduardovna Gudermetova to enter the semis, while American Taylor Townsend and Canadian Leila Annie Fernandez defeated Taiwanese pair of Chan Hao Ching and Letitia Chan in another quarter-final match to enter the semis. In cricket, Australia made 327 runs for the loss of 3 wickets in 85 overs in the first innings against India on the first day of the World Test Championship at the Oval in England on Wednesday. While Australia lost 3 wickets before tea, Travis Head and Steve Smith held their nerves to take their team to a strong total on day 1. Head scored an unbeaten century and was playing at 146, while Smith was playing at 95 when the stumps were drawn. Earlier, India won the toss and opted to bowl first. And now on to some business news. Key domestic indices in India closed at a 6-month high on Wednesday amid mixed cues from global share markets. A report.
The Sensex rose 350 points or 0.56% to finish at 63,143. The Nifty also appreciated 127 points or 0.7% to end at 18,726. Most Asian stocks were mixed as the markets predicted worsening economic conditions in the region against the prospect of a pause in the Federal Reserve's rate hike cycle this month. China's Shanghai Composite was up despite data showing the country's trade surplus hit its lowest level since April 2022, driven by a sharp drop in exports. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose 0.8% and China's Shanghai Composite Index surged 0.08%. On the other hand, Japan's Nikkei 225 declined 1.9%, while Singapore's Straits Times Index was 0.3% down. South Korea's Kospi traded flat. European markets were positive in intraday trade. Oil prices rose after the previous session's losses as demand concerns owing to slow global economic growth were offset by fears of tighter global supply, following Saudi Arabia's pledge to deepen output cuts. Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, will make production cuts of 1 million barrels per day starting from next month as a part of a broader output limiting OPEC Plus deal due to flagging oil prices and a looming supply crunch. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $77.04 a barrel. Back home, gold prices at the multi-commodity exchange for August contracts were trading at around 59,843 rupees per 10 grams. On the other hand, silver was trading at 72,000 rupees per kilogram for July contracts when reports last came in. And in the forex market, the rupee appreciated 6 paise to close at 82 rupees and 54 paise against the US dollar. Gaurang Dhawan Lal for World News, Akashvani.
And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal reports, cocaine trade and gang violence strike hard in once peaceful Ecuador. The Guardian writes, Rishi Sunak's White House jolly can't mask the fact that Brexit Britain is a fading power. Le Monde reports Macron observes slowdown of pension reform protests from Normandy. It also reported former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie launches US presidency bid. The Japan Times reports France pushes back against proposal for NATO office in Japan. Washington Post reports Pope Francis to have intestinal surgery, Vatican says. And South China Morning Post writes, Apple's AirDrop in focus as China moves to restrict Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, file sharing over national security concerns. It also reported Chinese President Xi Jinping calls for greater efforts to fight desertification after climate change leads to spike in dust clouds. And the Globe and Mail writes, Bank of Canada raises key interest rate to 4.75%, restarting its hike campaign. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. President of India Draupadi Murmu arrives in Belgrade on a 3-day state visit to Serbia, interacts with Indian diaspora. Bangladesh signs 2 financing agreements worth $858 million with World Bank to enhance climate-resilient agricultural growth, food security, and improved road safety. Pakistan government registers fresh case against former Prime Minister Imran Khan and wife in Toshakhana case. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen meets South Korean counterpart Park Jin, discusses nuclear threat posed by Iran, North Korea. British PM Rishi Sunak to meet US President Joe Biden, Ukraine, economy and artificial intelligence tops meeting agenda. At least 7 missing in Russia-controlled Nova Kakhovka after dam collapse. UN warns of grave and far-reaching consequences. India assures protesting wrestlers probe against outgoing WFI President Brij Bhushan to be completed by 15th June. And in French Open tennis, Brazil's Beatriz Haddad Maia and Iga Swiatek of Poland enter women's singles semi-finals. And now before we end, let's listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from New Zealand.
Vaishnavi Janna to
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.